said, well, didn't you know what time the paper was due? Well, yeah. Well, maybe we need to cut back on your television time so you'll have more time to do your homework. Well, that was the last time I ever brought that subject up. Now, the reason for all of these past school memories, well, I was just reading the other day, and do you realize there's a movement now in some school districts to stop teachers from giving failing grades? They cannot any longer give an F or a 0 on an assignment. It seems some educators are concerned that, well, there are some students that might be adversely affected by the emotional stress and damage to their self-esteem that a bad grade might cause. Because of this, some school districts are creating a grading scale in which failure is not an option. In Fairfax County School District in the state of Virginia, it is now a rule that no student will receive a grade less than a 50%. The Prince George's County Schools right across the river in Maryland are also adopting this same policy and are limiting a bad grade to a minimum of 50%. And all a student must do to receive a 50% is to show a good faith effort, however that's defined. Well, some people have asked where these new ideas of the pain-free grading system are coming from. Evidently, some of the folks serving in the Department of Education, sitting in some Washington office, believe that keeping students from getting a bad grade might encourage some students who are failing or falling behind and perhaps keep them from dropping out of school. Let's face it, in our current culture's zealous emphasis on political correctness, we surely don't want to do anything that might damage someone's self-esteem or make them feel bad about themselves, like giving them a grade that accurately reflects the quality of their work. So it seems that some school districts' answer to this is to try to be sure that everyone succeeds and no student is left behind. And the way they want to accomplish this is to make sure that failure is not an option. However, as you might expect, not everyone is in agreement about this. A lot of people see big problems with this approach. They feel that a teacher should be able to give a grade that truly reflects the level of the work being done, the quality of the work being turned in. Therefore, they believe there are obviously times when an F or a 0 is the appropriate grade that should be given out. Many feel that coddling students who are unwilling to do the work or who are working below their potential is not fair to those who are putting forth the effort and turning in high quality work and meeting their deadlines. This attitude that everyone should succeed has even caused problems for many college admissions departments. Since many high schools use so many different criteria in calculating grades and giving out grades. Some schools, weight harder classes, some schools do not, and so on and so forth. In today's world, so much pressure is being placed on high schools and administrations to make sure that no child is left behind and every student succeeds, that high school GPAs no longer mean that much. In fact, when it comes to being accepted into a college, most universities pay little attention to a high school GPA. Instead, many college administration departments put a great deal of weight on the SAT or the ACT test scores to determine a student's academic prowess, because high school GPAs have become, in some ways, somewhat meaningless. The problem with this no-fail policy is that Some school districts want to adopt, well, it should be blatantly obvious, shouldn't it? Using this method will allow some students to advance who are not ready to do so, who have not mastered the material that they need to succeed at a higher level. And then there is the more important issue. When these students who have been called throughout their school years end up going to college or getting out into the real world and getting a job, they're going to experience many times fierce competition for those jobs or those places in certain classes in college and so on and so forth. It's also a fact that sometimes failure can set us off on a different path. Many times a better path. After we've failed in one area, we change directions. Let me just recount a few stories of people who often experienced failure before they were successful. Oprah Winfrey, at age 23, was fired from her first reporting job. At age 24, Stephen King was working as a janitor and living in a trailer. At age 27, Vincent van Gogh failed in his attempt to be a missionary. So when he got back home, having nothing better to do, he enrolled in art school. At age 28, J.K. Rowling was a single mother on welfare and on suicide watch. At age 30, Harrison Ford was working as a carpenter. At age 30, Martha Stewart was working as a stockbroker. Actor Samuel Jackson was 41 before he got his first role in a movie. Morgan Freeman was 52 before he landed his first major role in a movie. And famous artist, folk artist, Grandma Moses, who I think recently sold, one of her paintings was sold for $1.2 million. She didn't begin painting until she was 78 years old. Whether it's at school, at work, or just in life in general, failure needs to be an option. Otherwise, we may never know the truth. It may remain hidden, and a hidden potential may never be fully realized. Most of the time, however, we are best off keeping the rules that have been given to guide us. Adam and Eve are a great example of this. God gave them a choice to either follow the rules or ignore them. And think about this. God only gave them one simple rule. Just one. You can have anything in the garden. Eat from any bush, shrub, plant, except for just one tree. And God said, of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for on the day you eat of it you will die. Now, the crafty serpent saw his chance. When God said this, and so he said to Eve, well, did God really say that? And with that question, he put a very subtle thought into Eve's head. It just wouldn't go away. And then the serpent went on to challenge the one rule that God had given them. And the serpent then said to Eve, oh, you won't die, for God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened. And you will be like God, knowing good from evil. Another way to interpret this might be that the serpent telling them, well, that might be what God said, but are you really sure that that's what God meant? Do you really think that God would allow you to die just for that little indiscretion? But you see, the serpent is trying to establish a no-fail policy. Oh, you won't really die if you eat of the fruit. God won't give you an F, a failing grade. He won't allow you to fail. You should get at least 50%, right? The Garden of Eden was not a progressive school district. Failure was certainly an option for Adam and Eve. God said that there would be a penalty for eating the forbidden fruit. And there was. Studies have shown that people become more careful when they sense there is risk, and much less cautious when they feel that they are protected from harm. Psychologists call this behavior risk compensation. For instance, people who cross a very deep ditch by walking on a plank will be much more careful if the ditch is filled with muddy, nasty water than if it's dry. Another example of this is the sport of skydiving. Now, even though the equipment used in skydiving has become almost fail-safe over the last few decades, still the fatality rate has remained constant. Why? Well, it's because the people doing it are engaging in much riskier behavior than they used to, because the risk of failure is perceived to be almost non-existent, or much lower than it used to be. All of this boils down to the fact that people make choices based on the risk of failure. It's a fact. If the risk of failure is present, then people will make wiser choices. Adam and Eve took the fruit from the tree and ate it when the serpent planted that doubt in their minds that God really meant what he said. This was the first test they failed. And when they had eaten the fruit, we read, then their eyes were opened, and they knew they were naked. Verse 7. You know, actions always have consequences. Eventually, Adam and Eve had to leave the garden because they'd chosen to break the rules, disobey God. Now, some have suggested that God was just too harsh, that God should have given them a second chance, given them a make-up test, we might say. But would that have even been possible? Some have suggested that God was, well, there again, he should have given them a little wiggle room, so to speak. But don't we know, though, that once innocence is lost, it cannot be recaptured? When innocence has been taken away, it cannot be reinstated. You cannot put the toothpaste back in the tube. The lesson that Adam and Eve learned is one that we should heed as well. Not only were their eyes open to their nakedness, but also to the importance of following the rules that God had put into place. God did not give us these rules just to ruin our fun, as some people suggest. The Bible is filled with rules that set boundaries for us that are designed to keep us safe, to protect us, to enable us to live rich, full lives. When we break them, we risk our safety. Just consider the Ten Commandments, things like taking this Sabbath. How many of us now are beginning to ignore taking a Sabbath in this 7-day work week that we seem to have? We don't take time for rest and recreation. Honoring your parents. Things like do not murder, do not steal, or commit adultery. These are all rules designed to keep us healthy and safe in mind and body and not hurt one another. The second test that Adam and Eve failed was that fleeting desire to be like God. When the serpent told Eve, "You will be like God, knowing good and evil," this thought captivated her, and she desired even more to eat the fruit from the tree. Be very careful here in judging Eve, though, because how many of us would have also been tempted by the very same thing? But as is always the case, most everything we do in this life usually involves us making a choice, doesn't it? When we can choose to avoid those things that can harm us or the people around us. We can turn to family members and friends, our church family, for help, support, guidance. And it's one of the reasons that it's so important to be an active member of a church family. Because we need the wisdom that the Scriptures give to us, the guidance it gives to us in living life, and then we need the people around us to hold us accountable to do those things. I often thank God that He gave me parents, that even though it wasn't easy for them, they stood by and let me fail at things at times. In the Garden of Eden, unlike some of our schools today, failure was an option. And God gave Adam and Eve choices. And then they had to live with the consequences. But their failure taught them valuable lessons. Teaches us those same things today, to trust God's word and how to live as a child of God. Thanks be to God. Let's pray. Loving God, you give us freedom, you give us choices, because it's so important that we choose to follow the rules that you have given to us, that we choose to love you and have a relationship with you. Lord, thank you for allowing us choices. Help us to make wise choices, to remember to follow the rules that you have given to us, because they're for our own safety and benefit. Amen. If you would take